right, lesson 36 from Unit 9 is going to be on multiplying matrices. This is really where the power of matrices comes into play, especially if you're using a calculator. I'm going to show you how to do multiplication by hand, which for small problems is a decent idea, but once you get a lot of numbers, it just becomes very tedious to do, and that's where the calculator will come into play. So the big thing with multiplying matrices is that the things need to line up correctly, and it's not the same as addition and subtraction, where in addition and subtraction your two matrices needed to be the exact same size. The only thing that you can add to a 3x4 matrix is another 3x4 matrix. Multiplication's not the same, so it's going to look a little bit weird when you're doing this, and so here's the idea with it. So when we did addition the other day in the last lesson, you could take A and B and add them together, but you couldn't take A and C or B and C and add them together. Well, in this case, A and B actually can't be multiplied, but B and C could. So what the key is that what we're going to call inside dimensions must match. So here's what I mean by that. So if I wanted to do if I wanted to do A times B, so this is a 2x3 matrix here. This is a 2x3 matrix. This is a 3x2. So if I wanted to do A times B, that would be taking a 2x3 matrix and multiplying it to another 2x3 matrix. When I say the inside dimensions, when I got these four numbers right here, these two numbers here need to match. And if they don't, you can't do it. Whereas if I do A times C, where that's a 2x3 and a 3x2, those inside dimensions match. Then, even just as important is, well, what size is the answer going to be if I'm multiplying two things that aren't the same size? The two remaining numbers on the outside, or our outside dimensions, are going to be the size of your answer. So when I do A times C, I would get a 2x2 matrix. Now, normally when you take two things and multiply them together, such as 5 times 6, 5 times 6 is the same thing as 6 times 5. But watch when I do this. When I do C times A, and I have my inside dimensions, the size of the answer ends up being 3x3. Not the same. So I'm going to end up with 9 numbers in this, and I'm only going to end up with 4 numbers in this. So the way that you multiply it and the order that you multiply it in completely matters. So you have to multiply it in the order that it tells you to. Okay, let's do one by hand here. Let's do two by hand. All right, so A times C. So we determined on the previous page that you can do A times C. So you're going to have a 2x3 matrix. You have a 3x2 matrix. The threes, since I'm doing it A times C, the threes match. I'm going to have a 2x2 answer when I do this. Okay, I'm going to rewrite these just so I have enough room to do them. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to multiply the rows of the first matrix by the columns of the second. Notice that when I make these circles, each one of them has the same number of numbers in it, in this case 3 of them. So if you end up circling and some of the circles don't have the same number of numbers in it, that means you couldn't multiply it together. That means that your inside dimensions didn't match when you do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this first row here, these 3 numbers, and I'm going to multiply them to these 3 numbers. First number to first number, second number to second number, third number to third number. And then I'm going to add those answers together. So I'm going to do 0 times 4, 3 times 6, and -5 times -2. All right, and then I'll end up adding those answers together. Do the same thing now with this row and the next column. Because I'm going over to the next column, I'm going to go over to here as well. So now this time 0 times 1, 3 times 2, negative 5 times 3. So you're going to add a negative number, so I'm just going to put minus. Okay, now I'm done with this row. I'm going to go to the next row because I used that row with both columns. So now because I'm going down to the next row, I'm going to go down to the next row here. Repeat the process. These three numbers times these three numbers. So 1 times 4, 2 times 6, 6 times negative 2. Go over to the next column. 1 times 1, 2 times 2, 6 times 3. And then just take and actually add the answers together. So you'll get 28, negative 9, 4, 23. Okay. So when I do C times A, it's going to be the same type of idea. So I'm going to write my two matrices in the order that I am multiplying them together. Rows of the first one, columns of the second. Okay, so first I'm going to multiply 4 and 1 times those two numbers, times those two numbers, times those two numbers, put them here, here, and here. So 4 times 0 plus 1 times 1, 4 times 3 plus 1 times 2, 4 times negative 5 plus 1 times 6. Okay, done with 4 and 1. Do that for 6 and 2. 6 times 0, 2 times 1. 6 times 3, 2 times 2. 6 times negative 5, 2 times 6. All right, then the last one. Negative 2 times 0, 3 times 1. Negative 2 times 3, 3 times 2. Negative 2 times negative 5, 3 times 6. All right, and then I'm going to take and actually add my sets of numbers together. So 1, 14, negative 14, 2, 22, negative 18, 3, 0, 28. Okay, and there is my 3 by 3 answer. Again, I started with a 3 by 2 matrix, a 2 by 3 matrix, matched answer size. So that's how you multiply by hand. Now, again, doing something like this pretty quick, this decently quick. Once the matrices get bigger or the numbers get bigger, then that becomes more of a pain, and that's where the calculator is going to come into play, which I'll show you here moving forward. Okay. Now, the last thing when I show you how to use the calculator as well is that we also have, not only do we have to have dimensions that match, like the inside dimensions here, but labels need to match as well. And when you're matching labels, the top of the first one and the left of the second one is what needs to match. And then what's left over, so I'm going to circle here in blue, is what you write on your answer. Okay, so you get these to match, and then those for your answer. So if you don't have matching pieces here, then technically you can't even multiply those together. Okay, let's do another Joe Pizza party type of thing here. So this one I'm going to set up my matrices. So they're buying pizza and pop for their parties. It tells you how many they have and how much things cost. They want to know which place should they buy from and why. Okay, so we have Joe and Jim buying pizza and pop, and then we have the prices for pizza and pop. So pizza and pop is the piece that matches. So on matrix number 1 here, I'm going to call this matrix A. Joe, Jim. I'm going to put pizza and pop at the top. Because remember, the top of your first matrix and the left side of your second matrix is what needs to match. So I'm going to put pizza and pop up here, and then when I make my second matrix, I'm going to put pizza and pop there. All right, Joe has 10 pizzas, 30 pops. Jim has 12 pizzas and 20 pops. Okay, then matrix B, I'm going to put pizza, pop here, and then it tells you from the 3 restaurants, which I'm going to call, they call them A, B, and C here, so I'm going to label these A, B, and C, how much they cost. So pizza here costs $10, $12 here, $15 here. Pop is $1.50, $2 here, $1 here. Okay, so we have 2x2 matrix, 2x3 matrix, pizza and pop, match with pizza and pop. Okay, those match. Actually, let's circle them like that. The size of the answer is going to be 2x3, with the left-hand side being Joe and Jim, top being A, B, and C. Joe, Jim, A, B, C. Okay, so what this is going to do is it's going to, by hand, if we were to do this by hand, we would take the 10 and the 10, multiply those together, the 30 and the $1.50, multiply those together, and add them. And that would tell you how much he spent on pizza and pop at restaurant number A. At restaurant A, not number 8, sorry. Okay, now let's do this in the calculator. Okay, there are specific directions on Canvas for multiplying matrices together. You can follow along with those a little bit. I would take a minute to go read those. I'm going to give you the quick version of it here. All right, so to clear matrices out of your calculator, second and the plus sign, which will give you this list here. So second and plus. Number 2 for delete. And we want number 5 for matrices. And if you don't have any matrices in here, you're not going to see this A and the B that I have here. It'll just say RAM free, arc free. It won't have anything here. But if you do have matrices typed in, you'll see them with their names. You just keep hitting delete until they're all gone. If you don't have any there, you don't have to do that. Okay, matrices are on the left-hand side here, fourth one down. They're right above the X to the -1 button. So if you do second and matrix, you're going to get this. We're going to deal with names and edit. We're not going to really deal here with math. That'll be for more complicated type of ideas here. So to type them in, you have to go over to edit. What you decide to call them really doesn't matter. Now notice I called them A and B, and that's what I'm going to type in here as. But if you called them D and H, you type them in at D and H. It doesn't really matter. It's just an organization piece for you. Okay, making sure that I'm on edit, and I'm going to go here in A. It's going to ask you a couple of things. It's going to ask you for the dimensions. It's 2x2 matrix. Then it's going to ask you to type the numbers in. Now, if you type in 10 and then hit enter, it's going to go over to the right. So by hitting enter, it's going to go over to the right until you're done with that particular row, and then it's going to go down to the next one. So you're typing going across, essentially. So 10, 30, see how it went down to the next one there? 12, 20. Okay? Then I'm going to repeat the process. Make sure you go over to edit for matrix B. Okay, on that one was a 2x3 matrix. Again, typing in the numbers. Really, if you understand this idea here, typing in a wrong number is going to be the one thing that people will do wrong. Okay, so I've got both my matrices in. Now, before you start doing anything, and we want to multiply these two together, I'm going to hit second and the mode button, which is quit, to do this. Once you've typed all your matrices in, you need to do that. Otherwise, it's going to put matrices inside of matrices. So you have to do that after you're finished. You don't have to do it after every matrix, just when you're done with your last matrix. Okay, I'm going to multiply them together now. Second matrix. Now I'm going to stay on names this time. Pop up A here, because I want to do A times B. So I'll click on that, hit the multiplication sign. Second matrix B, and there it is. Okay, so those numbers are 145, 180, 180, 150, 164, and 200. Okay, so it turns out that Joe's best bet is A and Jim's best bet is A. So they should both buy their pizzas from A because it's the cheapest. Okay. This matrix was this chart was actually from the very first set of notes. So when we have, I'm just going to abbreviate here, Jamal, Stephanie, lender 1, lender 2, and the amounts. That's matrix A. And then lender 1, lender 2, interest rate. Okay, so now the problem with this one, when I have this, is this and this don't match. So if I want to multiply these two things together, because I want to find out the amount of interest that they will receive, I'm going to have to take this one and write it the other way, meaning I want lender 1 and lender 2 up on top. So I'm going to take this one here. I'm going to put Jamal, Stephanie, lender 1, lender 2. Now, this was matrix B, sorry. The better way to do this would be to look at that before you start writing everything down. All right, so Jamal with lender 1 is 4,000. Jamal with lender 2 is 3,000. Stephanie with lender 1, 2,500. Stephanie with lender 2, 3,800. Okay, so now that's my matrix A. And then I'm going to put this in the calculator and multiply these two together. All right, so let's go through that idea again here. Let's clear out our old, don't try to type on top of matrices. Second, plus sign, 2, 5, delete till they're gone. All right, second matrix, edit, A, 2 by 2. Type in your numbers, make sure that you type them in right. Take a couple extra seconds before you are done making sure that you got the right numbers there. All right, now we're going to edit matrix B. Okay, and that is a 2 by 1. Now, if you accidentally type in 1 by 2, you would notice that it wouldn't line up the same way. Go back and fix it. Okay, got both of them in. Quit. Second matrix A times second matrix B. All right, so now lender 1 and lender 2 matched. Jamal, Stephanie, and how much money they're going to make. So this really isn't a percent anymore because now you've multiplied it by an amount. So this is going to be more. I'm going to put money up there. Oops, that's terrible money sign. Money right there. So let's see. I forgot the numbers. It was $62 for Jamal, $50.30. $62, $50.30 for Stephanie. Okay. All right, so that is multiplying matrices either by hand or by calculator. Let me know if you have any questions on lesson 36.